Welcome back, everybody, this week in America. Thank you for being with us on the program today. Rabbi Aaron Raskin, our guest on the show, a dynamic and charismatic leader, is the official Chabad emissary to downtown Brooklyn, rabbi of Congregation B'nai Avraham in Brooklyn Heights. He hails from a long line of prominent rabbis, including his grandfather, Rabbi Jacob Hecht. Rabbi Raskin came to Brooklyn Heights in 1988 to co-found Congregation B'nai Avraham and to serve as its spiritual leader. He's been profiled in a number of publications like the New York Times, Jerusalem Post, a featured radio TV guest including Oprah and Good Morning America. He's the author of Letters of Light by Divine Design, Guardian of Israel, co-author of The Rabbi and the CEO, and author of the new book we're talking about on today's program, Thank God for Making Me a Woman. Rabbi Aaron Raskin is with us on This Week in America. Rabbi, welcome to the program. It's great to have you with us today.
It's a great honor and privilege to be with you today.
Thank you. This is such a fascinating book, and the origin is very interesting. I understand you're just basically a month or so, in fact, even less than that, on the job in New York, and you get an interesting question after a service that sort of prompted this whole research exploration that you did in the book. Talk about that conversation and how that really molded the last couple of years of your life.
When I first came to Brooklyn Heights over 20 years ago, I was a single man at that time, and we had the first service in downtown Brooklyn, and a young lady came over to me after the service, and she said to me, Rabbi, you know, I really enjoy being here. However, I have a question, and that is in the Siddur, in the prayer book, it says, thank you, God, for not making me a woman. And I find it very uncomfortable to be in your presence and in the presence of such a community where you're blessing God for not making me a woman. And how do you reconcile that idea, and how do you understand that? And Judaism believes you're not allowed to embarrass anyone, and even an animal, one has to be concerned not to embarrass or oppress or hurt in any way. So how then do you have a right to publicly make a statement that says, thank you, God, for not making me a woman? And I wanted to answer her at that moment, and I realized, you know what, let me speak to my colleagues, being young at that time. Let me see what they would have to say about it. And I said to her, it's a very interesting and intriguing question. However, I want to think about it a little bit. And after the Shabbos, because on Saturday we don't make phone calls, so after that Saturday I called my colleagues, and they advised me to stay far, far away from this. They said, Rabbi, there's no way you'll ever win it. Just sweep it under the rug and try to forget about it.
And that wasn't easy for you to do, was it? This really stayed with you because you really wanted to give her a question, and this was something that you really felt you needed to investigate a little more.
I had a burning fire inside of me that really said to me, you want to answer the question. I always wanted to answer this question as a teenager, and I felt that the Torah, which is the wisdom for all nations of the world, definitely has an answer to this question. And being raised in a family of religious Hasidic Orthodox Jews, I always saw the women taking leadership roles and really running the entire family. And it didn't jive with me that this blessing should be in any way condescending or demoralizing. And I realized there has to be a deeper concept and a deeper reason behind this blessing, and I began to probe into it over the years. And I developed various avenues, and we came out with this book, Thank You, God, for Making Me a Woman.
And the book is available at RabbiRaskinBooks.com. Information available at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. You can log on to our website and link on directly to get information on the book, Thank God for Making Me a Woman. Talk about all the years of research, because this is something that really, I don't want to say consumed a lot of your life, but really was a focus of your life for years as you were searching for answers that really a lot of people, maybe they didn't express it, but they were really asking this question themselves.
There's no question about it. And primarily, I found the answers to this in the teachings of Hasidic philosophy, which is really a spin-off Kabbalah and mysticism, but through the lenses of of the Chabad angle that was instituted by Rabbi Shnei Zalman of Liadi 200 years ago, and it continued for 7 generations to my mentor and teacher, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Schneerson. And the Rebbe did many talks and wrote many letters pertaining to the phenomenal role and responsibility of women in our generation. And using his impetus and inspiration, with the help of God, I was able I hope, to answer some of these questions and to develop some of these ideas based on his teachings.
You know, it's interesting. You said that many of the answers that you came up with would be eye-openers. What has been the response? What type of response are you getting?
I find that there are 3 different types of people. There are people all the way on the left. No matter what you say, they won't agree with you. You have people on the right. They don't need your opinion. But then you have many people on the fence that they really are searching for answers, but they're looking for an answer that will appease them and an answer that will give them completion. And I believe for these people who are true seekers and who are looking for truth, for many of them, they find a tremendous empowerment and fulfillment reading the manuscripts and hearing the ideas of this book.
Do you feel that when she came and asked you that question, and that started the years of research where you finally came out with the book, Thank God for Making Me a Woman, available at RabbiRaskinBooks.com, was there a specific reason for that? I mean, as I'm reading this, I'm thinking this really wasn't happenstance. There really was a reason behind this, asking you, and you having the perseverance to come up with the answers.
Your question is right on the money, and this is one of the famous teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement, that everything that happens in the world is by divine providence, and that everything we see and hear in the world we have to use as a lesson to serve God. There's no question many of us in life are challenged, and we get disappointed and sometimes melancholy by even the audacity of the question. But a bigger person has the ability to rise up and to realize that if you are challenged and you get criticism, you use the opportunity for criticism to be able to grow with that criticism.
With us on This Week in America, Rabbi Aaron Raskin, author of the new book, Thank God for Making Me a Woman. Rabbi Raskin's books available, all of his books, I mentioned some in the beginning as well, at RabbiRaskinBooks.com. You've got an interesting story in the beginning of the book where you're talking about, talking to another rabbi, and you were talking about the experience of buying a condo. In fact, you were asking advice on buying a condo. And you use this, and it's an interesting story. Talk about that and the significance that had.
I thank God, was blessed with 6 children, and one of my children already are married. And so when I was living here in Brooklyn Heights, the neighborhood is very expensive. And being a rabbi of an Orthodox and a Chabad synagogue, so I don't travel on Sabbath. I don't drive a car. So I need to be living in a close proximity to my synagogue. And Bnei Avraham is in Brooklyn Heights. It's a modern Orthodox synagogue, and I would have to live close by. So to rent an apartment or to buy an apartment was very expensive. And I was living with like 3 children in a 2-bedroom apartment. 3 children were already in one little small bedroom, and I really needed to move to a larger location. And my wife and I were looking around for a place, and every Sunday we would make it our business to go house shopping, and we'd go from house to house to look for a place to move. And finally, we found something that we thought we could afford, even though we weren't crazy about it, but we thought we could make it work. In the interim, as a Hasidic leader, but also a disciple of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, any major decisions that we would make in life, we would always call for his advice and his blessing. Unfortunately, at that time already, it was after 1992 when the Rebbe had a stroke. So he wasn't talking, but he was moving his head yes or no and responding to his secretaries when they would ask him questions. So I called Rabbi Groner, which was the Rebbe's secretary, and I asked him to please ask the Rebbe for a blessing to buy this new condominium. And the rabbi said to me, look, before I go to the Rebbe for his advice and blessing, I want to ask you a question. I said, of course, what's the question? And he said to me, tell me, does your wife like the place? And I thought that was a weird question. I said, well, if I'm asking you, you know, for the Rebbe's blessing, then obviously my wife likes the place. But being that you're asking me the question, she's right here, I will ask her again. I turned to my wife, I said, Shterni, tell me, do you like the place? Do you like the new house? And my wife said to me, actually, no. I said, okay. And I told Rabbi Groner, she said, no, she does not really like it. So Rabbi Groner, the Rebbe's secretary, told me if that is the case, I'm not going to ask the Rebbe. I said, why not? He said, well, the Rebbe always said that the woman is called the Akeret Habayis. This is the Hebrew, which means she is the mainstay of the home. And basically, she has to like the house. It's her house. And if she doesn't like the house, there's no reason for me to ask the Rebbe for his blessing. And that taught me a very important lesson in life. And whenever I counsel with any of my congregants or students or disciples or friends or colleagues, I tell them all the time, you know, when it comes to a decision like which house, that has to be your wife's decision. That's her house. And you're lucky if she lets you into the house. You're lucky if she lets you into the house. But it is her house.
With us on the program is Rabbi Aaron Raskin. The book we're talking about is Thank God for Making Me a Woman. It's available at rabbiraskinbooks.com. That's interesting because you talk about discernment as a female quality. It's time we understood and acknowledged its presence in daily Jewish life. Are we getting close to that period, do you think?
There's no question about it. Women are taking over the world. And we find that in Kabbalah it says that, based on King Solomon's teachings, that Eshes Chayil Ateres Baila, which means the women of valor are the crown of their husbands, implying that the feminine mystique and the feminine attributes, starting with the women, are going to really rise to tremendous power, and that the feminine qualities will actually overpower the masculine qualities.
Dr. Aaron Raskin, our guest on the program. Several minutes left. We're talking about the new book, Thank God for Making Me a Woman. Information at rabbiraskinbooks.com. Go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on directly to that website. The book is based on, you talk about 3 pillars on which the book stands. It's got all sorts of research and information in there. And you basically come to the conclusion that God has bestowed the world with a great gift, a woman.
There's a beautiful teaching, the Talmud, it says, Abraham has tasted from world to come of paradise here on this world. And one of the things that is given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe is that the reason why they had paradise in this world is because of the fact that they all had wives that were greater than them. And if a person is blessed with a wife that is greater than them, then they will experience paradise in this world. And there's no doubt that we see today that qualities of women are becoming appreciated and acknowledged throughout the entire world.
How do you feel about this book? I mentioned the books at the beginning. You've written a number of books. If you go to and look at Rabbi Raskin at the website jewish.tv/rabbiraskin.com, you'll see all sorts of video there, teaching that you do. How important is this? It's almost like you were given an opportunity to bring this to open the dialogue, to begin the discussion on this. I'm sure this is very rewarding for you.
I believe it's a game changer. I believe these are one of the most critical issues today, which is controversial and really at the forefront of not only Judaism, but of any major religion. And that is, the role of women in religion and what role they play. And if we can open the doors and invite women into any type of a religion, this no doubt will be a major game changer for the entire religion. And therefore, the fruit will be the outcome in a very positive way, which will bring tremendous spirituality to the entire world. There's no doubt that the women set the tone in every home. And if a child is in a healthy house, the child grows up to be a good, ethical, and productive person. And if women buy into it, if they buy into spirituality and they buy into the knowledge of Bible and God and religion, no doubt they will be the ones that will bring a tremendous value to the entire world. And this will really be the prophecy that the Talmud says it was in the merit of the righteous women that our forefathers were redeemed from the land of Egypt. And based on the teachings of Kabbalah from the famous Isaac Luria, known as the Arizal, he says that today the souls of our generation are a reincarnation of the souls that left the land of Egypt. And just like it was in the merit of women in that period that brought about the redemption, so too in our day it will be the merit of the righteous women that will bring about this redemption, to bring the world to peace and harmony. And we know that the world right now is shaking and it needs leadership and it needs direction. So we were putting our trust in the women that they are going to bring some sort of sense and stability and sanity to this wild, crazy world.
It's an enlightening book, a fascinating book. Thank God for Making Me a Woman. The author is Rabbi Aaron Raskin. The book's available at rabbiraskinbooks.com. You can link on directly by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Rabbi, it's a pleasure to have you with us on the program. I realize you're quite busy, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Like I said, it's a very important book. You called it a game changer, and I think that's exactly the case. And I really appreciate you being with us on the program today.
Thank you. It's, again, an honor and a privilege for me, and I want to wish you and bless you with tremendous success in everything that you do.
Thank you, Rabbi. I appreciate that very much. And again, the book is Thank God for Making Me a Woman. It's available at the Rabbi's website, rabbiraskinbooks.com. And of course, information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. We're back after these messages.